I want to go over some of the attitudes that people are going to have to overcome to actually get medical marijuana legalized. In reality, it's probably not going to happen, but I got to comment a little bit about really what you're up against. It's not just education. For instance, the medical establishment, including the individual doctors and most of the people out there, they're highly educated. They're not stupid. They can figure out that this works. They're not stupid. They'll argue that it doesn't work because, they can't charge the money for it. In other words, we all know that if this was legal to grow and extract the oil from it, that you have a readily available medicine for a bunch of things that could be used. It could be used against. Now, you're not going to educate a doctor. Doctors already know. And as far as the Christian right, actually, I almost don't want to be too critical of them, but they are a major problem too, because it seems to be many of the most religious are the most fearful of going outside any kind of parameters that they're told what is they're supposed to do. And religion sometimes with those type of people is just something to keep them in order. Ironically, I got this. I'm going to post a link where this blog is, and I'm going to highlight some things in it. But I really want to talk about what people are up against. Sometimes the biggest problem is the people that are promoting this are actually, I guess you should be caring, but you should not care about liars. And you should have, and it's very tough for caring people to get into the mentality of the devils and play on their game. So I just want to emphasize that it's not just a matter of education. It's going to be a lot of shrewdness and cutting them off at the knees whenever you possibly can. And that goes any possible way you can, because that's exactly the way the game is being played against medicinal marijuana. And I'm not talking about the smoking the herb, because I know that's about the only legal use of it in some parts of the United States. And quite obviously that's the most ineffective way. It's the hemp oil that's the real cure. And, okay, it's not a cure, but, it seems like it works a lot, right? Whatever. He goes on in his blog, he says, maybe it's ironic taking an evangelistic Christian who has never actually touched the medicinal marijuana plant, who abides by the law, who sees decriminalizing the medicine as a Christian mercy for those who suffer from painful incurable diseases to help shift, that'll help it into social acceptance. Well, it's got to be a little more thought behind that. Besides that, it's like a cure, and it will take a lot of resources that go into the blood-sucking parasitical medical establishment, and those resources can actually go to something that's productive versus peddling their pharmaceutical poisonous snake oils. So, that's the one way I would put it. I wouldn't cut them any kind of mercy, even with the words. Now, if you look at the United States, where is it illegal to use medicinal marijuana? It's mainly out west, usually where the most free-thinking people are, and in the extreme northeast, more or less like Vermont, Maine. Now, in the Bible Belt, forget about it. I'm down in Florida, it's either marijuana is strictly thought of as a recreational drug, or it's thought of as nothing else. I don't think you can really educate too many people, except a person that's desperate with cancer. They'll probably listen. But, if anybody was a true Christian, which I think most of them aren't, they would take the risk, and if somebody was dying of cancer, they would try to get them the cure. But most Christians won't. That's why I don't like them. And they piss me off, to tell you the truth. But also, I want to point out, a lot of people got behind President Barack Obama because, they could tell the guy smokes weed, right? Now, I don't smoke weed. I never have, never got into it. But I know President Obama more than likely, in my opinion, he smokes weed. And he admitted to smoking weed many times in his youth. I don't think he's actually stopped doing it. But you know, the problem is with that, the law is different for him than it is for everybody else in the United States. People want to use medicinal marijuana. This guy's turned 180 degrees away from his campaign talk and rhetoric about medicinal marijuana. He's actually today, he's actually exceeding Bush's record for medical marijuana busts. So this guy is basically in the hip pocket of the money, and he damn well knows it. And he's going to continue on doing whatever the hell he wants. And it's not really all about him, but this is the point I'm making. It's not even about Obama. It's not about a specific, church or religious attitude. It's about you're not going to be able to just explain this to people unless maybe a person is dying of cancer. They might be more receptive. You're not going to be able to explain to them, and they're going to hear the truth, and they know the light, and oh yes, let's make it legal. That'll never happen, especially if they're a doctor, because a doctor is all about money. And I got the lowest opinion of those people more than anybody. People sometimes they don't like banksters. I don't like doctors. I think they're the worst of the worst because they put the smoothest act on in that will fool people. And I know they fool people very well because they have repeat customers, so they they fool people very well. But they're not really into healing at the most efficient rate or efficient methods. Nature is actually the best way to heal the body. And one of the best things from nature is this illegal plant called marijuana or hemp. So it's not going to be a matter of educating per se. It's like any possible way you can, put something right in their face to make them look like what exactly they are. Do so. And I kind of look at it like it's almost like you're trying to reason with Genghis Khan. I mean, are you going to reason with Genghis Khan? But just take that veneer off and you put a nice, polite veneer off on the outside of it. That they talk very nice. They're total predators underneath it, and they got a racket going with the pharmaceutical drugs. And they damn well know, like various things like chemotherapy and radiation, have a really lousy success rate. They damn well know it. They're not stupid. So how are you going to reason with that? So, actually I look at it this way too. Real Christians will face adversity. And they will go against, the norm if need be. Most of your Christians don't do that. They follow every little thing that's handed out to them, like they want to be safe. Well, actually, I don't really call them Christians at all. I don't know what the hell they are. They're lemmings, and they aggravate the hell out of me. But I do want to point out that when you're dealing with this type of stuff, you're always going to have, like, for instance, the biggest, most crooked people that are as heartless as possible that you can't even imagine if you got in their heads. They will always have a benign, like, caring front on them that they're giving to charity all the time and they're doing all these great things for society. It's a front. They do this at the professional levels and they do it at the higher levels. So you're not going to be able to reason with these people. You just have to, know what the cure is, and if it comes down to life and death, you know what you got to take. You got to take life, and you just got to go ahead and just do it. And that's up to the person, but I know what I would do. Obviously, I would not care about any stupid thing out there that told me not to do it because it meant my life. Now, if they made a rule out, because I say everything's about money. I mean, if they made a rule out, let's take this to the nth degree, and usually people laugh at something I say, sometimes, I remember saying some things about certain things decades ago, and that'll never happen. Yeah, it happened. Yeah, you're wrong, pal. But, take something to the nth extreme. I mean, say Will people accept the taxes on air? I mean, why not, right? I mean, you could say, the person weighs so much, how so many pounds is this age, and they are using up so much of the oxygen supply in the world, so electronically we need to tax them. Asinine, right? Unbelievable. But most of the stuff that's in effect today was totally asinine 100 years ago or even 50 years ago. So, the lemmings will accept anything. But the people that know better about this plant, medicinal marijuana, I urge you to be a lot more shrewd and develop the mentality of those devils. You're doing it for a good cause. Keep it smooth on the outside, keep it professional on the outside, same as they do. But go for the jugular anytime you possibly can, in any method you possibly can. They don't do anything illegal either, do they? Obviously, the side that is for medicinal marijuana does not have to do anything illegal. But the problem is, usually these benign, loving people that want to save the world and educate the world usually lack the shrewd and cunning tactics of the people they're going up against. And that is something to always keep in mind. Be as shrewd and cunning as possible. If you got an alternative way to destroy them, do so. There's always a way, and sometimes it's unexpected. I got that kind of mentality, so I have no problem with it at all. The way I look at them, if I can legally say, you people are criminal murderers and you're going on trial for that, and by law, we're gonna try you, and we're gonna pull up all the evidence of all the people you tortured to death, and we're gonna apply the appropriate punishment. I would do it. I would forgive them. That's the way I would take it. By the law. Let's just change the laws. Put a little fear into them, because basically what they're doing is worse than some of the most horrific crimes that were put out by dictators throughout the world. So keep that in mind. You're trying to deal with and reason with a person that does not care, even though on the outside they'll throw the very nice, benign, loving act on. It's a bunch of BS. I'm very aware of these type of people, including at the lower professional levels. They're a bunch of BS and they're full of it. So be cunning, be shrewd. Show them no mercy. You can play the game within the same parameters they do. It's not that difficult. The big problem is usually people into trying to urge people to learn about medicinal marijuana and the real benefits. They have a very caring attitude and they just can't get into that mind frame. Personally, I can, no problem. It's not a bother to me.